Hey Faith family, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If I haven't met you before, I'm Vera, and on this channel I talk about my discipleship walk with Jesus, just navigating this ungodly world in a Christian way. Today I want to help you guys answer a very important question, a very painful question. God, why did they walk out on me? I find that so many of us at one point or another find ourselves walking this journey along with people who we think that we're going to go the distance with, who eventually decide that they want to exit our lives. And it can be very painful, especially when you don't get closure and you don't understand why they would choose to leave your life. And so that's what I want to explore today, is for us to go over the two different types of relationships that God has called us to be in, because I truly believe when you understand this, you will be okay when that person leaves your life. You'll be able to walk in a confidence knowing that all God has for you, He has for you, and that nobody or no one leaving can take that away from you. So let's jump right in. The first type of relationship that God calls us into are attachment relationships. And so there are going to be some key characteristics that we're going to be able to identify with this type of relationship. The first being that they have a seasonal presence. And what that means is they came into your life at a specific point in time to teach you something or to add value in some type of way. So this could be your college friends. This can be, a mentor on a job. This could even be when you were living in the world and you're turning up your drinking buddies, the girls you run the streets with, all that good jazz. They're there for a particular season in your life, and maybe you've graduated out of that. Like maybe you're not a partier anymore. Maybe you don't need the support group anymore. So the value that you were getting from it, that God wanted you to gain from it, is no longer serving you in that next season of life. So when that happens, He's going to free up that space to put new people who are meant to now bless that new season that you're walking in. So that's one characteristic there. The other being that see that these relationships are very conditional. It's I'll be there for you if you're there for me, and that's it. You really can't have a season where you can't show up for these people and they stay around. So what I mean by that is, like, let's say you hit a low in your life, you're going through a divorce, the death of a person, you lost all your money in the stock market, something tragic happens to you and you're devastated. These people, because you require so much emotional support, emotional pouring into, you're going to see that they're going to start to distance themselves because you don't have it to give back to them. They were all fine and dandy when they felt as though you were pouring into them. There was a benefit there, but the moment that it became one-sided for a season, I'm not saying permanently, but for a season, they've decided, oh, I can no longer be in fellowship with this person. They start backing off and trying to connect with people who can fill the spot that you used to now pour into. And then lastly, you'll see that more often than not, these individuals, they're not really focused on personal growth. They will either have very limited or no growth at all. So what I mean by that is they're always talking about the way things are, but never doing anything about it. These are people that love to be stuck in their ways, that, every time you bring a solution, trying to help them elevate in some type of way, it's never good enough. They'll say, oh, you don't understand. No, that's not going to work for me. A lot of times, like the pity party kind of individuals, even when you bring the opportunity, even when you bring the idea, they're going to shut it down every single time. They're not interested in growing. They just want to keep having those same conversations over and over and over again. There is no growing in any kind of capacity. And so you have to understand that's probably because they're stuck in a particular season, and God is elevating you out of that season. You're trying to grow to something else, but they want to stay in that same season. So you're going to feel that tension there. You're going to be irritated. They're going to be irritated. A good biblical example of this is Abraham and Lot. See, Abraham was given a promise. God removed him from his father's area, told him where to go, and he took his nephew Lot along with him. Lot was like a son to him because Lot lost his father, and it's fine to want to help out family, right? So as God was blessing Abraham, Lot was benefited. Abraham grew more wealth in land. Lot grew more wealth in land. And so there was a parasitic, quote unquote, relationship happening where Lot was just being able to take blessings from being attached to Abraham. And the moment that it became too much, where now Abraham is realizing our herdsmen are fighting with each other, it's just not a great situation for us to be in close community. He's like, you can go your way here, I can go my way. You see that Lot doesn't put up any kind of resistance. He's like, that's fine. I'll choose over here. You can have over there. And he's out. There's a reason why, because in Lot's mind, Abraham had served his purpose. Abraham had given him what he needed. He needed money, he needed wealth, he needed status, and he got it. So he was out. And we see too, once Lot was out of the picture, God was able to take Abraham to that next level. He truly actually waited for Lot to be out before, okay, we're going to move forward with the promise that I gave you. So a lot of times, guys, God is removing people because they can't go where you're called to go. Either their spiritual maturity, either the anointing that they have on their life, or, you know, what they're trying to do, their free will, because we all have free will, doesn't align with where God is calling you to go. So he needs them out of the picture so he can move you forward. But in our ignorance, in us loving people and wanting to be loyal, we want to drag our people with us. And so that's why we repeat seasons, repeat cycles over and over and over again until we release it. Like, no, it's not a negative. It's just, we cannot take you along with us. Now let's contrast that to the second type of relationship, which is going to be a God-appointed relationship that has very different characteristics. The first being that there's an enduring presence. So what that means is that relationship stands the test of time. You know, you guys have been friends for several years over different things that have happened in life. So that could be marriages, children being born, divorces, deaths in the family, job changes, career changes, all these different life changes happening. But your friendship stands firm. You just keep relearning each other, keep re-engaging with each other. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you talk every single day. In fact, you probably go several weeks, months, maybe even years without speaking. But the moment that you pick up the phone, you're right back to it. That's a friendship that's meant to last. There's also mutual growth. That's the second point. So with that, you're pouring into them, they're pouring into you. You guys are both invested in seeing the other person win. And so when someone is in a low season, that other person has no problem stepping in and carrying the load. They will be the ones to wipe up the tears from you. They'll be the ones to put what they have going on the back burner to make sure that their friend, their partner is okay. They're the ones that will call all the people that need to be called, make all the arrangements that need to be arranged, learn all the skills that you used to do so they could do it to help you, and you would do it for them too. This is not a one-sided thing, but the reality is sometimes relationships just can't be 50-50 all the time. 50-50 truly looks like when you don't have 100, I give you, and when I don't have 100, you give me, and we are constantly showing up for each other when needed. And so you'll see that in this type of relationship. You'll also see that it's going to be Christ-centered. For us as believers, so important. Everything that they're going to do, every advice that they're going to give is going to point you back to Jesus. They're going to be the friend that's going to tell you the hard truth. When you want to sit here and do things of the world and everybody else is telling you it's fine, your coworkers, your family, your friends, oh yeah, girl, go ahead and do that. You know, I like that for you. You'll be so great. They'll be the one to say, but is that God? Is that Jesus? I thought you said you weren't going to drink no more because of X, Y, and Z. I thought you said that you were going to stop doing this because it's a temptation for you and you constantly fall into sin when you do it. They're going to be the ones to always lead you back to God. They don't want to see you fall. They are concerned about your walk with Jesus above everything else, above your worldly desires, above your aspirations. They're thinking about your salvation, period. And then lastly, they're invested in who you are as a person. They're not necessarily worried about your accolades. They're not worried about your status, how much money that you have. They're worried about your spiritual growth. They're worried about who you are as an individual. Are you happy? Are you healthy? Do you have peace? Do you have joy? Do you know God? Are you on his assignment, on his agenda? So again, they're not worried about what you can do for them. They're worried about what you can do for God and what you are doing for God. And just like you're worried about that with them as well. And so with all those characteristic traits, you can see there's a clear difference between temporary people who are there for a season and those who are God appointed, who are there for a lifetime. Now, great examples of this lifetime relationship are going to be Jonathan and David. You see, Jonathan was supposed to be the king, the next king after Saul, but David had the anointing. When they came into communion together, Jonathan, he loved David like a brother. And so he didn't even care about the fact that he was going to have to relinquish the throne to help David. He did it anyway. He went out of his way to hide David, protect David when his father wanted to kill him, because Saul knew David had this kingly anointing and he wanted to take him out. But Jonathan helps him. And just imagine, Jonathan's going to lose the throne if he helps David, but he doesn't care. He is covenanted to David. That is someone who loved him. He was his brother. He said he anointed him in the way that he could, gave him his robe, gave him his armor to say, like, I honor you, David. And technically, Jonathan had higher ranking than David. Another great example of this is Naomi and Ruth. When Naomi lost her sons and her husband, she didn't have anything. She told her two daughter-in-laws that, look, it's not looking good out here. Y'all might want to go ahead and go back home because I can't offer you anything. And back then it was hard for women. And Orpah, the one daughter-in-law, she ended up going back. Not to say anything's wrong with that. It wasn't a good situation, but Ruth was covenanted to her. She told her, no, I'm going where you go. I'll die where you die. Your God will be my God, because Naomi Ruth wasn't even a believer. So we see, again, that's another relationship where there was actually things for Ruth to lose. She was going to lose out. She could have went back home to her people, found a new husband, and started her life over under the protection of a husband. But she chose to go down this path of the unknown that may have hurt her in the long run, to make sure that Naomi didn't end up by herself. And at the end of it, God redeems both of them. And so you see the difference in those relationships. We got to really start thinking about, are the relationships that we're in, are they seasonal, or are they meant to go the distance? And once you truly start going through these checklists and you see it for what it is, you take yourself out of the pain and you reflect on it, you'll be able to see what God exactly was doing in it. He needed to either separate you for, the fact that they're not walking with him, or again, your season just ended. And it's okay, because who God has for you for a lifetime, they can't leave you. Even if they have to take a step away from you for a season because you pissed them off, you flipped them off, or whatever the case is, they will always come back because they are assigned to you. They are appointed to you. They are meant to go the distance with you. Trust God and his design. If you seek first the kingdom of heaven, all things will be added onto you. Seek him first. Trust his plan for your life. Don't worry about the people that walked away from you. I know it's painful. Grieve it, cry, but pick up and move on. I hope this encouraged you. I love you guys, and we'll talk soon.